NPR's Elsa Chang has more.
The resolution to reject the deal has long been expected to pass in the House. All the drama is on how the vote will now proceed in the Senate. Currently, more than 40 senators have announced they will back the Iran deal. So that means a resolution to reject the deal is not expected to have enough votes to get to final passage in the Senate. So President Obama may never have to exercise his veto power.
Republican presidential frontrunner Donald Trump is leading a rally today on Capitol Hill in opposition to that nuclear deal. Secretary of State John Kerry heads to Capitol Hill this morning. He'll be briefing members of the House and Senate Judiciary candidates on White House proposals for the U.S. to accept more Syrian refugees. White House spokesman Josh Earnest has said the Obama administration is looking at a range of approaches. Late Night with Stephen Colbert made its debut last night on CBS, with Colbert paying tribute to the retired David Letterman.
I started college the same year Dave started in late night, and not having the fullest social calendar, I was frequently available for Dave at 12:30.
Colbert's first guests were actor George Clooney and Republican presidential candidate Jeb Bush. I'm Dave Mattingly, NPR News in Washington.
And this is WNYC in New York at 7:21. Good morning, I'm Satirius Johnson. Governor Cuomo says New York is ready to help Puerto Rico address its fiscal challenges. Cuomo says the administration will work with Puerto Rican officials to improve the island's healthcare system, reduce energy costs, grow agricultural output, and boost tourism. He announced the partnership in San Juan, where he joined other state and city officials to urge federal action on the island's debt crisis. Puerto Rico owes some $72 billion to bondholders, but the island's governor has said it's not payable. Serena Williams defeated her sister Venus in 3 back-and-forth sets at the U.S. Open last night. The 6-2, 1-6, 6-3 victory keeps her on track to complete a calendar Grand Slam after her Australian, French, and Wimbledon titles this year. The victorious Serena says she will fondly remember the match against her older sister.
It means a lot to me, obviously. We are very, very tough competitors on the court, but, once the match is over, or the second it's done, we're sisters, we're roommates, and we're all that.
Serena, who turns 34 later this month, will face 32-year-old Roberto Vinci of Italy in the semifinals tomorrow. Today, mostly sunny and humid, getting up to around 91 degrees. We do have a slight chance of a thunderstorm this afternoon. Then tonight, mostly cloudy with a chance of showers and thunderstorms mainly after midnight. It'll be humid tonight as well, with lows in the lower 70s. And then it really cools off tomorrow, only getting up to about 78. And then temperatures will be falling actually into the lower 70s in the afternoon tomorrow. And there are showers likely with a chance of thunderstorms. Right now, it's 77 degrees and cloudy at 7:22.
Support for NPR comes from WNYC members and from Red Hat, providing enterprise open-source software solutions to companies in the Fortune Global 500, including airlines, commercial banking, telcos, and healthcare. Learn more at redhat.com. Red Hat, tried, tested, trusted. Inada, Japanese maker of full-body massage chairs, including the Flex 3S, with pre-programmed shiatsu massages and full-body stretch sessions at inadausa.com. That's INADAUSA.com. And Uma, a cloud-based phone service working to help small businesses run efficiently and improve customer experience. With mobile features to stay connected from anywhere. Uma, the smartphone for your business. More at ooma.com.
You're listening to Morning Edition on WNYC. The New York Liberty is wrapping up its regular season with its best record ever. As WNYC's Andrea Bernstein reports, even with stats far better than any of the local men's teams, the Liberty is still fighting to win over the hearts of New Yorkers.
It's hard to keep a secret in this town. Especially when it's smack dab in the middle of Manhattan.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena.
But all summer, the New York Liberty has been burning up the hardwood, streaking to the fastest playoff berth in WNBA history. But you would know it by game attendance, down a third from the team's all-time high. That's not what I would have predicted 18 years ago when I attended the first ever professional WNBA game in Madison Square Garden on June 29th, 1997.
A bunch of us, 50 women, different ages, stepped off the New York City Gay Pride at 3 o'clock, came in here and came to the first game ever.
Messiah McLaughlin was here too. She's been covering the team for WBAI ever since.
And it was sort of like a dream come true for those of us who didn't have an outlet.
For the players, too, like one of the all-time greatest, Teresa Weatherspoon.
When we first started, it was said that we wouldn't get more than 3,000 to 5,000 people in the stands. And if you can remember, all the other arenas had the basketball and curtains at the top to close it off to keep it a nice, intimate setting. We did not. We had to remove it because the excitement.
Weatherspoon, now part of the Liberty coaching staff, was a big part of that. In 1999, at the end of the season with seconds to play, the Liberty was out of timeouts. It was from farther than half court. A lot of us thought plays like half-court buzzer beaters would pack in the crowds. But years of mediocre teams, a temporary move to Newark for garden renovations, all that thinned out the crowds and sapped the spirit. Until now. This season, with a new coach and some new players, the Liberty has a winning record of over 70%. At games like the other night's matchup against Atlanta, the crowd was rocking. Deanna Davis is 15, all wiry energy and hustle. Short hair, gray sweatpants, gold jewelry.
I think it's amazing. This is their first time just being at the top like this.
Deanna plays guard for Truman High School in the Bronx. She's pumped.
Oh, Liberty!
I sit down to watch the game with her for a bit. The Liberty's been struggling to stay even all night. Now, with a run by guard Tiffany Prince, starts to go ahead. Because of the Liberty run, the team enters the halftime break with a 41-37 lead. Even with this thrilling game, part of a thrilling season, at halftime, almost all the food vendors are closed. The garden isn't half full. On game day, you can still buy a great seat for $28. Women's basketball is part chess, part ballet, part raw athleticism, and getting better all the time. Here's WBAI's Mercedes McLaughlin.
Every team has better players now because you're getting more and more women coming through who've, in a sense, had a seamless record of playing. They've gone elementary school, middle school, blah, 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 and it's the competition.
WBAI's been covering this league for 19 years. By contrast, many days the major dailies don't even give a paragraph to the Liberty. But for fans like 15-year-old Deanna Davis, the party is on.
Yep. It's over. She won.
She says she'll be back for the playoffs, crossing her fingers that for the first time ever, the Liberty wins it all. For WNYC, I'm Andrea Bernstein.
The Liberty plays the Connecticut Sun tonight at the Garden. There are 2 more games in the regular season.
A tough new report concludes that the federal government system for defending poor people in court needs to change. The study says judges who are supposed to be neutral arbiters too often are not. NPR's Carrie Johnson has the story.
The report says defense lawyers for the poor who work in the federal court system need more resources to do their jobs. That means money, not just for themselves, but to pay for experts and investigators. Norman Reamer directs the National Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers, which conducted the study.
Having good, fully resourced defense counsel with access to ancillary services is an absolute must in a society that is arresting 14 million people a year.
In an adversary system, lawyers for poor defendants say they need to operate on equal footing with prosecutors. But the study, the first of its kind in more than 20 years, says it's judges who exercise too much control over the process. Bonnie Hoffman, a deputy public defender in Virginia, led the task force.
There's some significant ways that we feel that the federal system is not measuring up, most importantly in the area of independence.
That's because judges are in charge. They have a role in selecting the defense lawyers for the poor clients who appear in court. They act as umpires during a plea hearing or trial. And then those same judges approve or reject the defense lawyers' fee requests. In many cases, the report says, judges cut fees without explanation, and there's no way to appeal. Jerry Morris is a longtime defense attorney in Texas.
It's just not a good situation to have the judge that you're appearing before have that
says there's no clear solution to that independence problem. But Morris says the courts have launched their own study of the system for representing poor defendants, and he says he hopes judges will take defense lawyers into account. Kara Johnson, NPR News, Washington.
On WNYC at 7:30 today on the Leonard Lopate Show. Julian Assange calls in from the Ecuadorian Embassy in London to discuss his book, The WikiLeaks Files, and how it fits into his beliefs on surveillance and freedom of information. Plus, New York Times food columnist Melissa Clark offers advice on adapting favorite summer recipes for the fall. It's coming up today at noon here on WNYC.
WNYC is supported by TechServe, offering troubleshooting and repair services for broken or problematic Macs, iPads, and iPhones, both in warranty and out. More information at techserve.com.
Just ahead, Stephen Colbert hosted his first episode of The Late Show last night. I'll check in with Studio 360 host Kurt Anderson to see how it went. It's in about 15 minutes. This is WNYC at 7:31. Here's Soundcheck's John Schaefer with today's Gig Alert.
One of the best and longest resumes in indie rock. The early hardcore punk band Deep Wound, the important alt-rock group Sebadoh, the cheeky folk implosion, and of course the acclaimed indie rock trio Dinosaur Jr. But his new record, Brace the Wave, is just Lou and a guitar. By Lou Barlow is one of several songs he played live for us in the Soundcheck studio recently. He also talked about Russian nautical paintings. Find out how he got onto that topic by visiting soundcheck.org to hear the full interview and to get info about Lou Barlow's show tonight at Rough Trade.
To endure today, getting up to around 91 degrees. We have a slight chance of thunderstorm this afternoon. Then tonight will be mostly cloudy with a chance of showers and thunderstorms, mainly after midnight, going down to a humid 72. And then tomorrow really cools off, only getting up to the upper 70s. Temperatures will actually be falling into the lower 70s in the afternoon. We'll have showers likely with a chance of thunderstorms tomorrow. Right now it is cloudy, 77 degrees in New York City. It's 76 in Islip and 74 in Port Chester at 7:33.
Support for NPR comes from member stations and from TIAA-CREF, a global financial company dedicated to delivering financial outcomes that matter. TIAA-CREF, created to serve, built to perform. Learn more at TIAA.org. And Cancer Treatment Centers of America, offering one-day second opinions for patients seeking a better understanding of their diagnosis and treatment options. Learn more at cancercenter.com.
It's Morning Edition from NPR News. I'm Stephen Skeep.
And I'm Renee Montaigne. The CEO of United Airlines is out of a job, along with two other top executives.
These abrupt departures are related to something that might seem a bit surprising because, you know, it's an airline. But it's related to the New Jersey political scandal over a bridge, lane closures on the George Washington Bridge a couple of years ago.
Here's the connection. Both the bridge and Newark's Liberty Airport are operated by the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. And the United Airlines executives may have been trying to influence some of the same Port Authority officials who are responsible for closing several lanes on the bridge as a form of political payback. NPR's David Schaper explains.
In a hastily scheduled conference call, longtime United Airlines board member Henry Maier announced late yesterday that he is taking over as non-executive chairman and that fellow board member Oscar Munoz, a top railroad executive, is becoming United's new CEO. Maier says the abrupt changes come as chairman and CEO Jeff Smisek steps down.
Jeff's departure is in connection with the company's previously disclosed internal investigation related to the federal investigation associated with the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey.
That investigation centers on what some Port Authority officials had nicknamed the chairman's flight. Federal authorities are looking into whether United reinstated service from Newark to Columbia, South Carolina, a route that loses money, as a way to curry favor with former Port Authority Chairman David Sampson, who just so happens to have a vacation home not far from Columbia. Sampson, by the way, is a close ally of New Jersey Governor and presidential hopeful Chris Christie. United began offering the twice-weekly flights, including one down to Columbia on Thursday nights and another back up to Newark Monday mornings, after United CEO Smisek had dinner with then-Chairman Sampson. Smisek, meanwhile, was trying to convince the Port Authority to spend millions on improvements at Newark and lower United's airport fees. The so-called chairman's flights lasted about 18 months. United canceled the service just 3 days after Sampson resigned under pressure last year because of the bridge scandal, which is what got the feds interested in possible influence peddling at the Port Authority in the first place. Asked about the status of the investigation on that conference call with industry analysts, United's General Counsel Brett Hart said he could not provide any more information.
All of our disclosures, we believe, have been appropriate, and the investigation is still ongoing. Both an internal investigation, keep in mind, and an investigation by the federal authorities. So our ability to disclose more than we have is limited.
The shakeup at the top comes as United enjoys record profits, $1.7 billion in just the first half of this year. Smisek, meanwhile, walks out the door with a hefty severance payment of almost $5 million. According to a company filing with the Securities and Exchange Commission, the 61-year-old also keeps his health insurance until he's eligible for Medicare, flight benefits for the rest of his life, and his company car. David Schaper, NPR News, Chicago.
We are also tracking the fight against terrorism here in the United States. Counterterrorism officials have been trying to prevent the self-described Islamic State from recruiting Americans. And later today, officials in Minneapolis, Minnesota unveil a $1 million program intended to help. Local Muslims are not so sure. They contend this program stigmatizes Muslims. NPR's Dina Temple-Raston has early details.
Minneapolis Somalis have been asking for youth programs for years. Their wait is finally over. Minnesota's U.S. Attorney, Andrew Lugar, is expected to unveil a plan this afternoon.
The money has been received, and I'm going to lay out how we're spending some of it right away, and the rest of it will be spent over time.
He first introduced parts of the plan at a White House summit on countering violent extremism back in February. The idea was to make the Somali community more resilient and better able to battle ISIS's attempts to radicalize its children.
I just had a meeting the other night with 30 Somali mothers who expressed the concern about radicalization in the teens and their families and others.
But until now, Lugar has only been able to offer them promises. Now there's actually money from foundations, the state of Minnesota, and the federal government. Among the initiatives, a Big Brothers Big Sisters Somali mentoring program, something the Twin Cities has never had before. Also getting money, a program called Opportunity Hub, which will help Somali youth put together resumes, learn how to interview for jobs, and find new positions as they open up. While this might seem like common sense and uncontroversial, just talking about violent extremism has made some in the Somali community feel unfairly singled out.
The way the program is initially set up, it's already problematic from that point of view.
Jaylani Hussein is the executive director of the Council on American Islamic Relations in Minnesota.
The fact that the only community that's being targeted by a federal program to address countering violence extremism is Somalis in Minnesota, or Muslims in general across the nation, sets a precedent that is very narrow view and stigmatizing the community that's already getting backlash and pressure.
Backlash like what happened to Somali students in St. Cloud, Minnesota. They reported being taunted and called members of ISIS. A former U.S. senator called Minnesota the land of 10,000 terrorists. In reality, over the past 2 years, nearly 60 local Somalis have either successfully traveled to Syria, attempted to go, or are under investigation for wanting to do so. So the situation is sensitive and...
Now we have a federal prosecutor who is proposing to do more social service programs.
Hussein says a U.S. attorney shouldn't be in the social services business, and Lugar appears to have told him. A local nonprofit focused on teens called Youth Prize is deciding which programs should get money.
We've reached out to Youth Prize because of their familiarity with the community and their experience in working with the Somali community. They really will know best where the money should go and how it should be spent.
The move will also provide some assurance to the Somali community that the programs aren't intelligence operations in disguise. Lugar said the U.S. Attorney's Office has signed a cooperative agreement with Youth Prize that keeps law enforcement at arm's length.
This is not about law enforcement. It's about crime prevention, and it's about meeting the needs of the Somali community that were raised with us.
There are 2 other cities, Boston and Los Angeles, that are supposed to set up pilot programs to address their own radicalization problems. But Minneapolis is the first to get a plan funded and off the ground. Dina Temple-Raston, NPR News.
You're listening to Morning Edition on WNYC. Ahead, a look at the complicated ethics of dynamic pricing and why Consumer Reports calls price differentiation the schmo tax. WNYC's Note to Self is coming up in about 10 minutes. It's going to be mostly sunny today, hot and humid with highs around 91 degrees. There's a slight chance of a thunderstorm this afternoon. Then tonight, mostly cloudy, chance of showers and thunderstorms mainly after midnight. Continued humid tonight with lows in the lower 70s. Tomorrow only getting up to around 78. Right now it is cloudy, 77 degrees in New York City at 7:41.
WNYC support comes from CA Technologies, who believes that every business is in the software business. CA software and services work to help companies optimize their digital transformation in the application economy. More information is at ca.com. A Brilliant Young Mind, a story about a